Whilst it's the international break, I thought it would be a good opportunity to look back at the season so far. I've looked at all the players, all the stats, so that you don't have to. Now, the way I've structured this video, I'm going to look at the teams in a bit of detail, the top attacking teams, the top defensive teams, to hopefully give you an idea of how the league is planning out so far, and then we'll look into some actual players. So we're going to start off then by looking at the best defences in the league so far this season. I've sorted the 10 best defences by expected goals conceded. Top of the tree at the moment is Arsenal. 11.05 expected goals conceded and total goals conceded sitting at 10. Man City just behind, 11.27 XGC, conceding 12. I'm not going to go through the whole list because there's 10 teams here. You can read the stats for yourself, but interestingly, there are a couple of surprises in here, I would say. Aston Villa sitting as the 5th best defence in the league for expected goals conceded, but they've conceded a total of 17 goals. I've had Martinez in my team since game week 7, game week 8 when I played my wild card, and he's not kept a single clean sheet for me yet. However, they're sitting 5th best for expected goals conceded. Maybe this is a sign that clean sheets may be coming for Martinez, who knows. But it's just interesting to see some teams you might not expected, appearing in this list. You've got the likes of Brentford, Everton and Brighton up there as well. Some top teams, of course, are missing from here. So who has kept the most total clean sheets then? And it's no real surprise to see a lot of the teams in the previous slide showing on this one. We've got 3 teams that have kept 5 in total. Crystal Palace, Newcastle and Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, Spurs, Man United and Brentford have all kept 4. And then we've got Chelsea and Fulham sitting on 3. So we've looked at the best. Now we've got the worst defences in the league. Again, the top 10 sorted by expected goals conceded. Now, the worst defence, according to the expected goals conceded, is Luton. 30.61 expected goals conceded. They've only conceded 22. Now, mainly I think that's down to Kaminski, the Luton goalkeeper. He's a brilliant goalkeeper, and he is absolutely keeping Luton alive, really, I'd say, in the Premier League at the moment. They should be almost down and out of it based on those expected goals conceded stats already, but they currently have a glimmer of survival, and mainly that's down to how well Kaminski has been playing. They've only conceded 22 compared to 30 expected. Sheffield United, sort of opposite end of the spectrum, they've conceded the most goals in the league at 31, 29.7 expected goals conceded. Bournemouth, Burnley, West Ham, Wolves, Fulham, Man United, Forest and Spurs. I'm not surprised to see Man United in there, despite how, compared to how bad their start of the season has been. But Tottenham, I expected them to be amongst the best, but looking at expected goals conceded, they're actually amongst the worst. And I'd actually say, obviously the Chelsea game had a big factor in there. They conceded 4 goals, basically a third of their total goals conceded this season in that one game. But Vicario, similar to the story of Kaminski, has been really performing really well. And that's another reason why they've conceded less than they've been expected to. I wouldn't say, sort of similar to Man United as well. I think Onana, a lot of abuse has come his way so far this season, but I actually think he's kept out quite a lot of goals. But yeah, that's the worst defences. I thought that'd be worth looking at. If you're looking to target teams in fixtures, those teams that you're looking at right now are the ones to be targeting. Now, I wondered if you could do me a favour. If you're enjoying the video so far, please make sure to leave a like rating, subscribe to the channel as well, set the notification bell so you can see when I upload next. If you're really enjoying the video, please consider joining as a channel member. You'll get early access to all of my videos, and when I deadline stream, I'll give you priority when I rate people's teams in Draft Hound. You can also, if you want to support the channel in a different way, check out my shop down below. You can buy yourself a golden goal sticker or a mug. All right, back to the video. So the best attacks then, I thought it'd be worth looking at the attacks. Which teams have created the most chances and scored the most goals? Now, for XG alone, expected goals scored, Liverpool topped the list. 28.33 expected goals to be scored. They've only actually scored 27, so slightly underperforming that. Unfortunately for Liverpool, I think Darwin Núñez has been one of the big reasons for that. We'll get onto him in a second because he appears in some of the player lists that we're going to talk about. But he has underperformed his expected goal stats by quite a large margin. And that in return, I think, has meant that Liverpool have underperformed those stats. Man City, they've scored the most goals in the league so far with 32 from only 27.9 expected goals. I think the likes of Rodri scoring, well, quite a few worldies already this season. Haaland slightly overperforming those expected goal stats. Alvarez doing the same. A lot of overperformance of underlying numbers from the Man City players, but to be honest, I think that's just because they're wonderful finishers rather than getting lucky. Yeah, they're in second. Chelsea, interesting to see them in third place, although that's all down similar to what Liverpool have got with Darwin Núñez. Nicholas Jackson has had a heck of a lot of chances that he's missed so far this season, and that's one of the reasons Chelsea are, 21 goals scored compared to nearly 27 expected to be scored. Newcastle, Aston Villa, they've slightly overperformed as well. I think, the way they've taken their chances this season has obviously been really clinical. Scored 29 goals from just under 29 expected. Brentford, Arsenal, they've slightly underperformed. Brighton are up there. Spurs are up there. And a bit of a surprise, I guess most people would consider Everton to be one of the worst teams in the league. But actually, they're pretty mid-table in terms of the best attacks. 20 goals expected. Unfortunately, though, for them, they've only scored 14. Quick look at the worst attacks. There's becoming a running theme there with some of the teams. Sheffield United are the worst attack according to the expected goal scored. 9.23 XG only, scoring 10. Burnley, 10.4 XG, scoring 9. I'm not going to go through all these teams. I just don't think there's any point. You can see all the stats there, but, when looking at players to potentially buy, you might consider how good the whole team is for attacking and creating chances, because ultimately that's going to have an effect on whether players that you're picking are going to score. Now, when we get onto the players, I'm going to go through a bit more detail in terms of stats, but given it's a season review so far, I think it's worth looking at the top point scorers by position. Now, it's going to be impossible for me to obviously keep your attention while I look at this list and just to go through all the players in detail, because to be honest, I don't think there's much point. You can go on the FPL website yourself and sort by points, but Alisson is the top goalkeeper. Trippier is the top defender. Midfielders, we've got Salah top of the list by quite some margin, nearly 20 points ahead of Son now. And for the forwards, Haaland tops the list on 96. Of course, Mo Salah, 101 points, is the top scorer so far this season. Looking at this list in detail, though, I'd be interested to know if there are any surprises that you see. Just another really simple stat that obviously it's important to look at. Not going to go into too much detail, though. Top scorers in the league, Erling Haaland on 13, Mo Salah on 10, couple of players on 8, Son and Bowen, Wilson on 7, 5 players on 6 goals. We've got Hwang, Isak, Jackson and Bumo in Solanke. As for the assists, fortunately he's got injured now, but he's still top of the table. Pedro Neto with 7, Kieran Trippier with 6, Doku with 5. Obviously that's propped up by the fact he got 4 assists in a single game. I think that was against Bournemouth, wasn't it? Madison also on 5. Same with James Ward-Prowse. Watkins also on 5. Alvarez, Kufal, Gallagher and Núñez all on 4. Right, then this is where it gets a bit chunky again in terms of stats. So what I've done is I've got each position, the top 10-ish players for their goal involvement. Thought that'd be worth looking at. So defender-wise, I've sorted it by their expected goals involvement across the season so far. So what this will do is it will sort of get rid of some players that might have been injured for a period of time. But the expected goal involvement per 90 stat you can see on the right, that compares, expected goals per 90. So doesn't really take into account the number of games players have played. It takes into account how dangerous they've been in the games that they have. Top of the tree in terms of expected goal involvement. Feels like he's really underperformed his stats, to be honest. Matty Cash, 4.74 XGI. Only got 2 goals and 1 assist compared to that. Kieran Trippier, 6 assists, 3.81 XGI. Again, you can see all these numbers here, so I'm not going to read off each player one by one. You can pause it if you want to look in a bit more detail. Couple of surprises, though, I would say. Aya of Brentford. We've seen that Brentford are one of, well, not the top team, but a good team in terms of their defensive performance. And Aya, certainly with the Rico Henry injury, is playing regularly for Brentford now, and he has 0.3 XGI per 90, which compared to a lot of players on this list is actually better. Brentford have a really nice fixture run coming up as well. So a player that might not have stood out previously, Aya, certainly one I've got my eye on after looking at this list. I'd also say Estupiñán, he's the top defender I found that you would suggest is a regular starter. He's the top for expected goal involvement per 90. It's only 0.01 more than Cash, 0.43. but he is currently the best. Obviously, Chilwell's up there as well, but with his long-term injury, I'm not going to consider him really. I think it's going to be a while before we can pick him again. He is the top though, 0.57 expected goal involvement per 90. Midfielders next then. I put Decore in there because I just didn't expect him to be near the top of this list. He's got 6 attacking returns so far this season, 5.36 expected goal involvement and 0.47 expected goal involvement per 90. So he was a little surprised, so that's why he's made the picture on this list. But of course, the man to talk about is Mo Salah. 14 attacking returns so far, 12 expected goal involvement, over 1 expected goal involvement per 90. That means every time he goes out onto a pitch, he's expected to at least get 1 goal or an assist. And Bumo is in second place. For the value he's providing, he is just an analytics dream. 6 goals, 3 assists, 10 expected goal involvement. So he's actually slightly underperformed those XGI stats. 0.89 expected goal involvements per 90. Interesting to see Bruno up there. Obviously, Man United have been really poor. He's only actually had 5 attacking returns, 7 expected goal involvement so far, 0.58 per 90. One thing I would say, there's some trends that we're seeing amongst some of these players, and Bruno Fernandes in particular, certainly over the last couple of seasons, is a player that really underperforms his expected stats, particularly in the assist regard. I think he just creates chances so freely that Man United players can't necessarily finish. Son and Bowen are historically massive overperformers in terms of expected goal involvement stats, and we're seeing that again this season. They both got 9 attacking returns from under 7 XGI, and to be honest, we've seen that quite regularly throughout their careers in the Premier League. So yeah, Son, Bowen, expected performance, overperformance, and Bruno Fernandes, a bit of an underperformer. A quick look then at the forwards. There are less forwards in the FPL game, so we're going to go a bit lower in terms of expected goal involvement than we saw from the midfielders. Haaland, though, it's no surprise, he tops the list. He's the most dangerous player in terms of expected goal involvement per 90 and in total in the Premier League, 13.6 and 1.19 per 90. Jackson, he's only got 6 goals compared to 8.45 expected goal involvements, 0.89 of those, of course, per 90. Has he found some form now? Obviously scored the hat-trick, albeit quite a lucky hat-trick against Spurs. I wouldn't call the game lucky, but you know what I mean. They were down to 9 men, so, that was kind of set up for Jackson to do well in that game. But he did, of course, score against Man City, so perhaps he's found the goal-scoring confidence that we all knew he could find. Yeah, if he's done that, I think he's going to be a great option, particularly considering what Chelsea's fixtures from 16 onwards look like. He's second, 8.45 expected goal involvement. Watkins, a very close third. Callum Wilson and Isak, they're both proving that whoever starts up front for Newcastle is really, really dangerous. It's just unfortunate that neither one is guaranteed to play, and they both have horrendous injury records. So they're both over 1 expected goal involvement per 90. But yeah, you can't trust either of them to start, I wouldn't suggest. I spoke about XGI underperformance. That's certainly expected goals underperformance. But Darwin Núñez, told a fib in the previous screen I said, but he's overperformed his expected goal involvement. So he's got 4 goals, 6 assists from only 6 expected goal involvement. So that's an interesting one to look at. Solanke's up there as well. Alvarez, he's massively overperforming his stats, as you can see there. Wissa, another interesting option for a good price. And Edouard backing up the list. Alright, and that's the end of the video. I deliberately haven't come to any conclusions, apart from Ayo maybe and Decore as players to pick. I just thought it'd be interesting to show, the stats as they have played out so far this season. I think after, 12 game weeks now, we have a reasonable sample size to do some analysis. And that's what I tried to do with this video. So perhaps in the comments, rather than me make the recommendations to you, having watched that video, let me know if there are any players that weren't on your radar previously or teams that you might be considering now. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a like rating, subscribe to the Golden Goal channel, which should be just there, and I'll hopefully catch you in the next one.